and welcome into Nighttime. My name is Andrew Greig alongside my co-host Joe Geiger. And Joe, how about those nights? Every day we get a little bit closer to March, and UCF just looks like they might be in the tournament.
Not just might be. They will be in the tournament. I think we can confidently say that now, pending disaster at the back half of the season. But the win against Texas Tech, a second good resume win, and we're already in February. We're so close to March. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on jinxes, but you know what?
Right.
I'm confident in these nights. I'm going to say we're going to be in the tournament come March.
Oh, absolutely. And let's get into some of these UCF basketball's most recent finishes. Here we go. Starting off with UCF traveling to Colorado a few Saturdays ago. In the first half, Colorado will be out to an early lead, and they add to it here as they steal the ball from Teamus Folks and take it the other way for a tough slam and a foul. 3-point game. Folks running the floor for UCF here, dishes it down low to Devin Cambridge for a tough and one finish to tie the game at 36. Second half now, Teamus Folks putting the defender into a blender for two as UCF begins to pull away up in Boulder. Final 2 minutes for UCF, Riley Kugel beats the shot clock and banks it home on an elite catch-and-shoot three. UCF wins this one 95-86.
Knights Sun Devils in what looks like a tournament must-win, and Themis Folks doing what he does best, driving and setting up Stillwell in the corner for three. Knights on the board first in this one. On this opposite end, Alan Mukeba with the SportsCenter top 10 play, punching it home over Devin Cambridge, giving the Sun Devils some life with 6 minutes left in the first. UCF now down 3, and Arizona State would try to set up their offense, but Jordan Burks jumps the passing lanes and beats everyone down the court for the slam, cutting the lead to 1. 8 minutes left, and things would go from bad to worse for the Knights as Maurice Odom nails a 31-footer to put the Sun Devils up double digits.
No way we come back.
But with 37 seconds left, Kugel would drive with nowhere to go, but finds Jordan Burks on the wing, who drills UCF's 5th straight three. The Knights would go on a 21-6 run and improve to 16-4.
To space we go as the Citronauts take on number 11, Texas Tech. A good start for UCF here as Stillwell hits every part of the rim and gets this three to fall early on. Back and forth game early, and Tyree Bryan hits from deep for Texas Tech on the other end. Bryan would have 14 points off the bench for Texas Tech in this one. We go to the late in the first half, and UCF adds to their lead as Riley Kugel pulls up from deep and drills it. But guess what the Red Raiders would come back and do next? They answer right away with a deep three from Anderson. 44-40, UCF leads at the half. To the second half we go. Teamus Folks goes to work. He kisses it off the glass. He finishes this game with 21 points and 7 assists. Texas Tech needs a response and a crowd silencer, and they get it with another three from well beyond the arc here to cut the lead down. Final minute trying to close it out. UCF forces an air ball. Kugel finds Johnson for a slam and an exclamation point on a massive ranked win. 88-80, Citronauts win it.
Man, and 2 court storms in that game.
Only got fined for 1, I heard, though.
Yeah, I mean, the fine probably a bit necessary. Can't storm the court early, but
Happens to the best of us.
I mean, Texas Tech, what a big win for the program.
Huge. I mean, absolutely massive. We talked about the Knights needing a second big win, and it came in a very good Texas Tech squad. Pair that with a win against Kansas and a win on the road against Texas A&M in non-conference play, and your resume looks very good right now.
What I love about these Knights, too, is the fact that they're winning the games that they should be winning, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, we've taken 2 games off of opponents that maybe going into the game we were underdogs in Kansas and Texas Tech, like you mentioned, probably even Texas A&M. But the fact that we are winning those games that we need to be winning, we're 17-5 as it currently stands, and looking at as tournament hopefuls, it just makes me circle back to one key factor, one returning, or probably the only returning thing about this team, Johnny Dawkins.
Our head coach, head ball coach.
A lot of people had a couple gripes with Johnny Dawkins throughout the course of his tenure here, especially last season as the team kind of broke down towards the end of it. But man, what he's done with this specific team has been nothing short of amazing, right? You bring in 12 new scholarship players, and they just have been able to gel super well in a Big 12 conference where a lot of you get 5-star recruits all across the board, right? Houston has a bunch of them. Kansas is historically a great powerhouse. But if you look at the stats here, UCF is tied for second in 3-point percentage, 4th in overall field goal percentage, 5th in points per game, and 5th in rebounds per game. They not only do it offensively, but they also are able to snag rebounds, and they're just an overall great team. And I think part of that has got to be on Johnny Dawkins.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't not have a good coach with this age of college sports. It's going to be a whole new team, especially in college basketball. Year by year, it's an entire new roster. Barely any guys returning. If they are returners, they're probably just walk-on guys on the bench. So what he's been able to do, and currently maybe a front runner for Big 12 Coach of the Year, and maybe one for National Coach of the Year, he's done very well, and I'd say he should be very proud of himself for what he's done with this Knights squad.
No, for sure. And I think that obviously there's been a trend here where we play significantly better at home. And a stat that wasn't on that graphic that I kind of want to shout out for the fans and especially the student section is the fact that an opponent field goal per free throw percentage, the Knights rank 5th in the Big 12, which has to do something with the student section.
Fear the Franz has been in full force. Since the Kansas game, every game the student section's been absolutely packed. The atmosphere has been absolutely amazing. If you haven't been to a basketball game, you're missing out.
And even during out-of-conference play as well, it felt like every game it started ramping up a little bit, and obviously during conference play, it's been nothing short of amazing. But we want to get into some of the star players on this team, right?
All new guys.
All new guys, so we want to let you get to know these players a little bit, starting off with Riley Kugel. Kind of the offensive guy for this team. Themis Folks is the facilitator on the team, but Riley Kugel is the guy who can get you a bucket from essentially anywhere on the court.
Absolutely.
He averages 14.8 points a game, and he shoots 400 from the three-point line, and overall he shoots 42% from the field. Just a guy who can do it off the drive, do it in the mid-range, do it from the three, and it's just an overall score, right? And I think that a stat that is a little bit underrated here is that he averages nearly 3 assists per game, which is, it doesn't seem like all that much, but it's actually 25th in the Big 12. So when he needs to make a pass, he can. Riley Kugel, kind of not do everything guy, but he does about all the things.
But he does what he needs to do well.
Exactly.
And an Orlando guy. Hometown.
Exactly.
Hometown.
Mississippi State transfer, coming in from Mississippi State, and before that he was at Florida. So
he's got big game experience.
For sure.
I'm going to go highlight Jamichael Stillwell, the senior forward, another transfer from Milwaukee. We have one of 2 guys from Milwaukee. This is a do-it-all guy for the UCF Knights. UCF, he can play down low, he can grab boards, he can get physical, he can shoot the basketball very well. He's averaging 12.4 points per game. I absolutely love the way this guy plays the game of basketball. As I said, he does everything right for the Knights, and he's been creeping into that starting lineup now. He wasn't originally a starter for UCF, but this is the guy, when Kugel and Folks are off, this is the guy the Knights need to rely on to fill in for those roles, and I think he's done a great job at that.
Yeah, I think towards the beginning of the preseason, he wasn't really a starter, but since the season started, I think he started 21 of 21 games. So he's been great for the Knights. Jamichael Stillwell, just an overall guy where he also, although his size, he lacks in size a little bit. We have John Bull, who's a huge guy and helps it out a little bit, but
he's thicker, much more competitive down low, I think, than Bull.
He averages 8 rebounds a game. He is one of the guys that is one of the best rebounders in the whole Big 12. So he is one of the guys that you rely on offense, but also when you need a possession to stop, it ends with Jamichael Stillwell.
And we know how important rebounding is, especially those second chance points that have killed UCF in some of their losses.
For sure. Well, moving on, a guy that I've already mentioned here today, Themis Folks, the facilitator, is kind of what I like to call him a little bit. He averages 14.2 points a game, so he can get a bucket when he needs to. He also, we know this very well, he's maybe not the biggest three-point shooter in the world, but his mid-range shot is second to none in the Big 12, or just in the country, really. He shoots 45% from the three, which those stats are maybe a little bit inflated just because he doesn't shoot as many, but still when he needs to shoot a three, he'll go out and do it, and he almost makes half of them. And then from the field, he shoots 49% from the field.
How do you not love watching this kid play it? The way he runs the floor for UCF has been nothing short of amazing. The game against Arizona, he dropped 30 points on the #1 team in the country. This guy is very good, and honestly, I think it's time to say this is our best player.
Yeah, he's a fifth-year senior from Milwaukee, part of the duo that you just mentioned with Jamichael Stillwell coming over. And fun fact, we actually played Milwaukee last year. We beat them, but both of those two players were in their starting lineup. We transitioned them over.
We were scouting.
We were scouting the Milwaukee. We were scouting Milwaukee, and now they're on our team, and they're playing dividends. So who's your next guy, Joe?
I'm going to go with Jordan Burks, the junior forward, transferred from Georgetown, but he started his career as a Kentucky Wildcat, so one of those big blue blood schools. He's played his biggest role here at UCF as he has in his entire career. And this is the guy we're going to rely on to hit a big shot. We saw in the VO the shot he hit against Arizona State, the winner. That was a clutch shot. He has big game ability. He can get hot. He had 17 versus Texas Tech, 23 versus Florida Gulf Coast, and 21 versus Texas A&M. So he has big game potential. I really like the way Jordan Burks plays, and he's going to be the guy that the Knights are going to look to get the ball when they need a big shot late in the game.
What I really like about him as well is the fact that he's the best free throw shooter on the team, right? Whenever you need a big free throw,
very important.
It seems like he steps up, especially in March, right? I feel like a lot of those
closing out games in this time is going to be at the free throw line.
For sure. Well, moving on. I like Jordan Burks as well, but John Bull.
John Bull.
I think he's one of the best players on the team. If nothing else, one of the most exciting players on the team, especially when he's hot. We saw that in a bunch of different games this season, including against the Texas Tech game, where it felt like every 3 seconds the crowd was chanting John Bull. But he averages 5.6 points a game and averages 5.2 rebounds a game. But the most impressive stat on here is probably the fact that he shoots 74% from the field. He's the guy that if he puts it up, he's making it 3 out of 4 times, and he's just a high energy guy. The reason why these stats are so low is because he only averages 19 minutes a game, but when he is in there, he's a high energy, high impact player.
And I just want to say with John Bull, the improvement from game 1 to game 23 that we're on right now has been fantastic. Sure. And to see him get the breakout game against Texas Tech was awesome.
Fun fact, he's also the only Knight to ever suit up in the McDonald's All-American game and Ole Miss transfer.
Hey, and how about that free throw form?
Beautiful free throw form.
Who's
your last guy?
Last guy to highlight is Carmelo Pacheco, another junior guard, transferred from Mount St. Mary's. Now, this guy is one of UCF's many men off the bench, and he started all 30 games for Mount St. Mary's last year. He started 0 this year. And for him to be able to mentally come back and be like, all right, I know my role on this team, and it's to come off the bench and hit some big buckets for Coach Dawkins and the school. He's a three-point guy. He's a three-point specialist. He's in there to hit some big shots, and he has done that. He had a huge one against Arizona State. He had a nice little buzzer beater against Texas Tech to beat the shot clock. He's shooting 40% from deep, and when he's on, he's on. I mean, we saw big games against FAMU. Texas A&M is really his coming out party, but he's still developing that trust with Coach. He's starting to get more and more minutes, and Carmelo Pacheco is a guy to look out for late in games to hit a big shot.
For sure. Carmelo Pacheco is the three-point shooting guy. And a couple names that we didn't mention, Devin Cambridge, Jeremy Fumena, who's currently injured, but a lot of guys that are impact players for this team that we weren't able to mention. But that is the overall gist of this night's team. And like you said earlier, if you haven't been out to a UCF basketball game this season, you should. But that is all the time that we have for UCF basketball on this segment. Right after this, we'll be right back with some transfer portal talk.
The quick interruption. We'll be right back for your show. For now, let me give you a quick rundown of what the Hitting the Field Network has planned for you. My name is Edgar Rodriguez, and I'm the host of Hitting the Field Season 22, live streaming every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. There, you'll find me and our expert guests talking about everything in the wide world of sports. On Tuesday, get ready because it's Season 10 of Nighttime. Hosted by Andrew Greig and Joe Geiger, Nighttime keeps you up to date on everything happening in the world of college sports and UCF athletics. Moving on to Wednesday, we have Season 8 of The Combine, hosted by our very own Kathleen Moore. This podcast takes a deep and technical dive into everything NFL, and you won't want to miss that. On Thursday, we go live with Bets, where our Bets boys, Ben Huber, Augie Aronson, and Scott Harris, will give their expert opinion that might just make you some money. On Friday, Season 4 of Girls Got Game takes over with only the hottest topics in women's sports, hosted by none other than Katie Sue Christensen and Mia Flores. And to round out the week, Season 3 of HTFC comes on Saturday, hosted by Octavius Lawrence and Santiago Molina. Soccer never stops, and HTFC will be your stop for everything in the world of football. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok, where you can find non-stop additional content, as well as stay updated on all HTFN news. Lastly, leave a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the Hitting the Field Network on YouTube. That's all I got. I'm Edgar Rodriguez, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Welcome back to Nighttime, as we are ready to talk some college football transfer portal. The transfer portal, probably the biggest impact in all of college sports right now. And the good news is we're not transferring. We're not going anywhere.
We're staying right here at UCF. I know that you guys are worried.
But over 10,000 players have entered their name in the transfer portal across D1, D2, and D3 college football. It's a crazy window. January 16th is when it officially started, and as you see, a lot of names have gone in. But let's get into some of the bigger names, starting with Sam Leavitt from Arizona State.
Yeah, Sam Leavitt transferred from Arizona State to LSU, one of the biggest transfers in this window, and the most highly touted transfer. It was a guy that got injured last season, but the season before, he helped lead the Arizona State Sun Devils to a college football playoff berth alongside Cam Scadaboo. And in my opinion, if we're going to go a rating system, right, 1 to 10, I think this is a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not a traditional dual threat, can use his legs, but I don't fully understand the hype, right? The number one overall player in this transfer portal class is, I think, a little bit drastic just because of the fact that he did have Cam Scadaboo when he made the playoff, and just in general, I think that he might be just a tad bit overrated, but he might have me eat my word this next season. And he obviously, as is alongside LSU, the best transfer portal class in all of college football. But with that being said, we wanted to welcome in our guest for this segment, Blake Bogue. First of all, just tell me how you feel about Sam Levitt, and on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think this is?
Yeah, so for Sam, for this, I give it a 9 out of 10. I think that he is a very good, skilled guy. I think with that dual threat skill that he's got, that should hopefully improve their attack on the offense. I think that it is sort of contingent on the rest of their transfers, like their offensive line, but I think he's more versatile than Garrett Nussmeier last year, who was a pure pocket passer. I do think that with I think that with the problems with his leg, that he is trying to nurse, that may be something that need to be looked at too, depend on how we want to see him. But I think that this is a home run get with home run potential.
Yeah, I see your point. He is coming off that leg injury. That's a good thing to note. But he is going to be teaming up with Lane Kiffin in a new look LSU. So it's a fresh start, not only for him but the entire program over there. So I wouldn't give it as high as a 9. I'd say about a 7. He's got upside. I like him. He's played in a playoff game. He's won. And with all those guys that Lane Kiffin's going to get, I don't think it's a bad move at all.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with both of you guys, and I think that the Lane Kiffin note is a good thing to know, right? Because he is an offensive head coach, and we've seen what he's done. Trinidad and Chambliss obviously had the prerequisites of being a good quarterback, but he had a great season last year. And just the quarterbacks that, if you go down the laundry list of quarterbacks that Lane Kiffin has had.
Sam Levitt kind of fits it.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like I mentioned towards the end of that, LSU does have the #1 transfer class in the nation. So if nothing else, you'll have help.
Absolutely. Let's go to our second one, going to the Canes.
Darian Mensah transferring from Duke to Miami. I wanted to start off with this one, and I think this is a 9 out of 10. Obviously, we see the stats on the board from last year. He had almost 4,000 passing yards, 34 touchdowns, so only 6 interceptions. He's not very mistake-prone. Unfortunately, we did see that with our last quarterback a little bit, but we don't have to harp on that.
Like a water bottle, you know?
That's what they're saying. But Darian Mensah has extremely elite arm talent. He's probably projected to be in the first round as of next year's draft. And he said that he came to Miami because he wanted to be a first rounder, and he thought that the talent around him could do that for him. Miami has currently the #3 transfer portal class in the whole nation, and he obviously will have help, right? Malachi Toney is returning from last year. He was one of the best freshmen in the nation. He also is able to keep his best receiver from Duke, who is going to transfer to Miami as well, in Barcade. So overall, he's going to have a lot of talent, not only in the wide receiver room, but in the running back room. Overall, I think it's a great fit for both of these guys, especially both Miami and Darian Mensah, especially given the fact that Miami had no quarterback before this. So I wanted to get Blake's thoughts. What do you think on a scale of 1 to 10? I know you're pretty high on Darian Mensah. What do you think about this?
Yep, so for him and for this transfer to Miami, I had this as a perfect 10 out of 10. I think that he will do very good there. We saw last season that Beck brought them to the national title game, but I think that the only way for them to go is up from here, and I think that he can lead them there. He has got the pieces. He's got the pieces around him, like Mark Fletcher, Barcade from Duke, and Malachi from Miami. And I think that with all of those guys, they should win the ACC next year. They have no excuse with how easy of a schedule they have, and they should be in position to do just that, depending on how the roster looks, aside from the rest of their transfer portal class.
Yeah, I mean, the ACC should be pretty open again next year, and Miami, I'd say, is the front runner. And this quarterback that they're getting has more ACC championships than Miami in their entire franchise history.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. As a Miami Hurricanes fan, I'm really glad that everyone knows that stat, that Miami has 0 ACC championships since joining. That is correct, that he does have more ACC championships than Miami, but hopefully it still won't be equivalent, because
he would have more.
He would still have more if they did win. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I want an ACC championship. No, I don't care about an ACC championship. I want a national championship.
That's right, but it would help.
Yeah,
a little bit.
For sure.
All right, let's get to the next one, though. Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati to Texas Tech, another Big 12 here. The Red Raiders paying this guy about $6 million NIL. I think that's a little high, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. One of the largest deals in college football history, actually. But this guy's a very effective dual threat quarterback, 27 touchdowns last year, 2,800 total yards, 36 touchdowns accounted for, so he had a few with his legs. And he goes to a team that obviously wants to win. The Big 12 right now, I think, is Texas Tech's conference year in, year out. And Blake, I just want to get your thoughts on this one as well. Do you believe that this is a good pickup for Texas Tech?
So for them, it is a good and solid get for them. He was very good at Cincinnati. They had a great season last year, and I think that it reminds me a lot of the guys who they got in last season's transfer portal. And I think that they will be a lot better. They had their offensive struggles last year that they did not score a point in their final game. So I think that he can bring much better skill there. However, the one thing I'm not sure of is if he can live up to the expectations. They will be supposed to be about first or second in the Big 12, and Cincinnati was not supposed to be, so we will have to see if he can live up to those expectations.
Yeah, I think that, like you mentioned, it's going to be a massive upgrade over Baron Morton, who didn't score a point in last year's college football playoff. Yeah. So that's definitely a position that they need to get better at. Last year, they had great defense. This year, I don't know if the defense is going to be as good. They have one of the best transfer portal classes in the nation, so obviously he's going to have some help, but Brandon Sorsby was a huge get for Texas Tech, probably the best quarterback in all of the Big 12 last year, and he moves to the best team in the Big 12 last year.
And let's go to the team that beat Texas Tech, Oregon. Oregon picks up another quarterback, Dylan Raiola, Patrick Mahomes-esque, goes from Nebraska to the Oregon Ducks. I think this one's a little surprising considering Dante Moore says he's coming back to the Ducks next year. Yeah, no, I think that this is overall a 6 out of 10 for me. I understand the fact that they wanted to keep Dante Moore. I think he's the better quarterback, but for him personally, you don't see many quarterbacks sitting behind quarterbacks for a year anymore. Right, and he is coming off an injury, so maybe in his mind that he's not going to be ready. I don't know where he is with that, but Blake, what do you think? Oregon gets a backup quarterback in Dylan Raiola.
So yeah, I think for this one, it does not make that much sense. He will be the backup, so there are a lot of things that we will need to see about, and I think it's a bit of a confusing move for him. I think that for the team, it could maybe be a good move, just depending on how the season goes, but it's a bunch of stuff that we'll have to see about.
Yeah, that's some good points, and plenty more transfer portal talk throughout the rest of the year, but that'll do it for this segment. And we're going to talk some UCF football next. Their schedule has been released, all 12 games, and we're going to talk about it next.
Never got me anything for my birthday.
I don't even know what that is. I thought birthdays were every 100 years like the Kids' Choice Awards.
What?
Finally, he's here, man. He's always late.
Who?
Marcus?
You good? I'd give them one of these, one of these.
Behind every on-screen moment is a whole team of engineers and technologists.
And you can be a part of such a team through SMPTE at UCF. You'll join a team of students just like you who are ready to innovate the future of TV and film.
With SMPTE at UCF, you'll be able to connect with local industry pros, learn about new technology in the industry, as well as get backstage experience that really matters. Join SMPTE for a backstage pass to all of this.
We meet every last Monday of the month for our general body meetings. There, we discuss how new technology is being used to create new media, and we get to highlight local professionals and their specialties.
On top of that, we have some site visits planned, so tune into our social media to be notified of when those will happen.
So if you're ready to pull back the curtain and find out what really happens behind the scenes, join SMPTE at UCF.
Welcome back to Nighttime, and here at Nighttime, it's all about the Knights, right? So we know
all about the Knights.
We know it's all about the Knights. Come on.
Of course.
And the biggest sport in probably every college is football. So we wanted to go through UCF's 2026 football schedule release, starting with Bethune-Cookman, right?
Yep.
A great game, a great warm-up game for the Knights. And just through out of conference, you obviously see a couple of warm-up games, then also a couple of games, a game that is probably going to be a little bit more difficult. Starting with Bethune-Cookman, then moving on to Pitt, Georgia State, TCU, the University of Houston, Oklahoma State, BYU, Baylor, Kansas, Arizona State, Iowa State, and Colorado. And I want to pitch this to both you guys. We would like to welcome in our guest for this segment as well, Noah Greene. I want to start off with you, Noah. What do you think the best game on the schedule is?
Honestly, the best game on the schedule, in my opinion, is against Baylor at home. We got destroyed by them last year, 30-3. It was a travesty. We don't have consistent quarterback play. Last year, we were rotating between Taven Jackson, the third-string quarterback, Ja'Cory Brown, all of those guys, and it's like, when you don't have quarterback stability, especially on the road, it's going to be incredibly challenging, especially against a good Baylor team. This year, in the bounce house, I like us beating Baylor at their own game, try and play a very strong defensive game. John Walker, an absolute stud on the defensive line, and I have the Knights winning this game against Baylor at home this time, avenging ourselves from the 30-3 loss last season.
Yeah, I love it. That Baylor game was rough, 30-3. It was an excruciating watch, I think was the way I worded it. But I'm going to go into the game I look most forward to, and that's that second game of the season at Pitt up in Pittsburgh in the Steelers Stadium. It's always fun to see non-conference matchups, especially Power 4 versus Power 4. It gives you an early chance to kind of see what your team is all about. And the Knights go to Pitt. We played at home against North Carolina this year, and they have some. They've always played the ACC. They played North Carolina last year, played Louisville a couple times, Georgia Tech multiple times, Stanford and Pitt back in 2019. Although Stanford wasn't an ACC team at the time, but these opener games against Power 4 opponents are always fun to watch, and obviously I have no idea. I'm not going to give a score prediction on who I think is going to win this one, but traveling to Pitt, Pitt was a good squad last year, so it should be a fun one.
Yeah, the Battle of the Acrisures, right? Because
That's
their stadium is all named Acrisure. And I wanted to harp in on the Baylor pick a little bit. Also, we had a little bit of revenge against DJ Lagway, hopefully. So that is another element to the Baylor game. I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. It's also on Halloween, so a lot of different aspects towards the Baylor game. But my personal pick for game of the season is BYU, our homecoming game, and I just think that it's going to be an exciting game in general. Homecoming is always a festive time. You have a bunch of different things going on around campus. You have Spirit Splash the day before, the day before. So just a lot of different things going on here at the UCF campus. And BYU is just a team that we historically struggle on, no matter if it's football, basketball. We just don't seem to be, the Cougars seem to give us a little bit of trouble every single time we play them. So I'm hoping for a win there, and then that would hopefully set up my eventual record prediction, which if that could be a win, I think that it looks a little bit better for the Knights.
Well, then let's get right into your record prediction. Why don't you go right ahead?
Well, I appreciate you pitching me there. I think that I'm a little bit more optimistic than Joe and Noah. Yep. I think that the UCF Knights' final record this season will be 9-3. I can understand why some people think that is a little bit drastic, right? Coming off of a season that we didn't even make a bowl game, but I think that the additions that we made over the transfer portal are extremely underrated. Alonzo Barnett is a great quarterback. I think that his arm was extremely underrated, and he was only rated as a 3-star in the transfer portal. I think that's one of the best gets that UCF has in the transfer portal. And just overall, I think that this team, under a second year with Scott Frost, the same coordinators, I think that they're due for some improvement, and I think the improvement's going to be rather drastic. We play some teams that have lost a good majority of their players to the transfer portal, and we have some tough competition. Pitt out of conference, and then the Big 12 is always a little bit shaky. But 9 wins is a goal that I think is achievable, and possibly in contention for a Big 12 championship, which we will get to at some point.
And I mean, I would absolutely love it, but we'll see. I'm on the more 7-5 side. I'm more just let's get to that bowl game. I know we haven't made one since 2023's Gasparilla Bowl against Georgia Tech, and I've just us going 7-5, just a little bit more improvement each year. Scott Frost, stepping stones, but that's really all I have. It's really too early right now. But Andrew, what do you think? Or Noah, what do you think?
So I've actually had these games separated into wins, toss-ups, and upsets, and obviously I'll give my record prediction at the end. Wins, I have us beating, obviously, Bethune-Cookman, Georgia State, Iowa State. They lost a lot of guys in the transfer portal. Colorado had the worst-ranked defense in the Big 12 last year. I also think we win that game. Some toss-ups, Oklahoma State, Drew Mestamaker is going over there. I think that they're going to do really solid. TCU, Baylor, I also think, is a top toss-up, and Kansas. I think that the upsets are going to be BYU, Houston, and Pitt, and the Sun Devils at home. I think that we could potentially win that game. The Sun Devils are quite a good team. Final record prediction, as you see, is 7-5. I am realistic like Joe. Just get us to that bowl game. Get us to that first stepping stone under Scott Frost V2. And Alonzo Barnett III, I really have a lot of hope and optimism for him.
Yeah, I mean, you might be more optimistic than me, actually, because if we can beat BYU, Houston, Pitt, who's to say we can't go 10-2, maybe?
Might as well beat the other team.
We might as well beat the other teams. I think that those are some of the hardest games on our schedule. So, you might be closer to 9-3 than you think. You just got to get back into the season. We'll see what happens. But let's go into the final part of the segment. Obviously, you guys are rather pessimistic, so I'll start it off as well. Do we think that UCF can win, or not win the Big 12, but compete in the Big 12, maybe get to the Big 12 championship, and then off of that, segue through that to the college football playoff if they were eventually to win the Big 12? I'm going to say yes, and by yes, I mean maybe. I think that that's a little bit drastic, right, because of the fact that the college football playoff is a ways away from what last season was. But if we can get to 9-3, that's possibly in competition for the Big 12, and I think that it's possible. I think anything is possible, and I want to go optimistic. We're nighttime.
We are nighttime.
9-3, possibly a Big 12 appearance. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm not thinking 9-3. I'm, like I said, 7-5. Would it be awesome if we made the college football playoff in a run at the Big 12? The Big 12 is always going to be open. It's one of the more, not softer conferences, but it's more levelly even playing field. But yeah, that's my take on it.
No, what do you think?
So my keys to UCF's success are as follows. I think that we really need to make sure that I already talked about Alonzo Barnett. We need a Dwayne Thomas Jr. breakout. We need Stacey Gage or Tavon Swint stepping up, and we really need to make this defense exceptionally better. I don't think that we're going to make the playoffs this year. I do think that we will have quite a successful season. We've got to win the games that we're supposed to win, get at least 2 or 3 of those toss-ups, and if we can get an upset, this is a bowl team next season.
Well, I appreciate the input on that, and finally, we want your input on 2 last things. The Super Bowl, for one, and then also the college basketball game of the week is Duke versus UNC. 2 big games. What do you think for both of them? No.
For the Super Bowl, obviously, I think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to win. Just an incredible defense. The Patriots, obviously, 8.7 points per game in the playoffs. They have a great defense, too. But I like Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Kenneth Walker. I love Drake May, too, but I really think that they're going to be able to do a better job against that Patriots defense.
Yeah, personally, I have Duke, and I also have the Seahawks. What do you think, Joe?
I have North Carolina, and I have the New England Patriots, just because I know how much you want to see them win.
Well, I mean, I hope both of those picks are wrong, and that does it for all the time we have on Nighttime for this episode. We'll see you next week in the next one.